Hey, I love answering questions when you guys inbox me and ask me to do a video on a certain topic. Last week, we did one for Seth on new construction versus existing. This week, question came from Amy, asked in contract, what does that mean? I'm not only going to answer that, I'm going to tell you what to expect once you're in contract. And this will apply if you're the buyer or the seller. So in contract basically means there's an offer, it's accepted, usually pending some conditions or what's called contingencies. Once you go in contract, the next step, generally speaking, and all this is always general, it's always specific to what your agent negotiates, what the specific contract is, but generally speaking, the next step is an inspection. That can happen anywhere from 3 to 10 days typically. And that's when the buyer pays an inspector, if they so choose, to inspect the house and see if there's anything that would stop them from buying the house, or if there's anything that's a big concern that they need to renegotiate with the seller. After we get past that, then generally the bank, if it's not a cash purchase, is going to order an appraisal. That would also be paid by the buyer. An appraisal typically costs about $350. I don't know if I mentioned what the inspection costs. That's usually about $400 to $450. So you got $400 to $450 for the inspection if you so choose. And then the appraisal, which unless a bank has some guidelines that you qualify for that you don't need an appraisal, you don't get a choice on that. If you're getting a bank loan, you're going to need an appraisal generally. That's usually about $350. And what that is just to make sure that the value you're paying for the home is not too much. The bank does not want to loan $500,000 on a $400,000 home. So that's the appraisal. Once we get through the inspection and the appraisal, and the bank is what's called ready to clear to close the loan, which means your loan is good to go, then we can move to closing. I've seen a lot of people get very nervous about closing. You really shouldn't. Actually, by the time you're moving to closing, almost all the hard work is done. This is just a time when basically the sellers and the buyers sign the paperwork to consummate the deal. And then generally, the keys are given at closing. Not always. Depends if there's something called possession after the fact negotiated, but generally, keys are given at closing. If you're the seller, very shortly thereafter, you will get your money. Woohoo! If you're the buyer, there or very shortly after, you will get your keys. Woohoo! So it's a very good thing. I've seen a lot of people get stressed about closing, but that's circling back. That's what's meant by in contract. Not only what that means, but what to expect when you're in contract. Hope that helps.